All right, welcome to another edition of our Mythoard reviews. This Mythoard review is actually right on the tail of another Mythoard review, so I got two Mythoards within a couple of weeks of each other. And I think that's an attempt to sort of get Mythoard back on track to a monthly schedule. Mythoard is monthly, but it has not been arriving within the month that it was slated for. So I think we are probably at January, if I'm getting my numbers straight. We'll take a look at the most recent one. For those of you who've been following along, Mythoard changed, almost disappeared, and has actually been resurrected. So this is the new Mythoard, and I think this new issue is going to show us sort of what we can expect. So let's take a look. This is the Creeks. As always, all Mythoards come with a guide to the content as well as a small mini adventure, which is 3-hole punched, and also cardboard, so you can, it's a little bit sturdier and you can keep it with you and collect a whole series, so it creates a world. And at the bottom is a checklist. This is by Jay Shaw, and he's got quite a bit of content here. This is the Creeks, which is kind of funny. It's a town that is built on stilts. I actually like a lot of text here. So you get quite a bit of bang for your buck, and the random generator, which all these include, is rumors. So you get some rumors. Again, this is to flesh out the information because it's on just one card. You also can see what's here. It includes, this is actually probably one of the most chock-full Mythoards I've seen in a while. Comes with a bunch of stuff, several PDFs, which you obviously can't see here, but as well as several booklets, pre-gen character sheets, comic books, a contribution from Bed Mike's books, of course, and even an adventure hook card. So we'll look at all of those. First up is Crawling Under a Broken Moon. This is a series of information for the Dungeon Crawl Classics role-playing game. But this is obviously more mutant-oriented, which is awesome. And it's A through Z. This is why you get little terrifying mutant baby here. But it does not go all the way to Z. This goes to A through M. This is part 1. And it does fun stuff. A is for aliens, B is for barter goods, C is for computers, D is for decay and ruin, etc., etc. And you can see it's all just really cool random charts. What's nice about this, of course, is that you can use it for any kind of situation that is modern or weird. Certainly sort of a Gamma World type setting will work quite nicely for this. This is a really interesting apocalypse alphabet, as they call it. So that's a really cute idea. I love it, and something that could be used for really any game that involves any kind of futuristic sci-fi. This is the Sword and Wizardry Light Fast Play Fantasy Guide. It's got quite a bit in here, and it's actually pretty nice. So you see this. This is a slick piece of cardstock, and it's 4 pages, and it's meant to, from what I can tell, give you swords and wizardry in a very compact way. And it does everything from ability scores to armor class. This is sort of the old school, not surprising, sword and wizardry armor class, so it's a little bit reversed. So it's armor class is negative instead of positive. But you can see it's actually converts that, gives you pricing, races, levels, everything up to 3rd level. So this is sort of like your basic set. And you can see it's got the standard 6 attributes plus Torchbearer, which I don't think is an attribute, but is a character who I suspect is there as your henchman to bring things along. And then, of course, treasure, healing, damage, combat, and of course the monsters, which you need to get started. One of the challenges of doing anything like this is you have to have an open game license declaration, so that unfortunately takes up quite a bit. It's down there, but you can see it. And even spells. So there's spells here and the abilities for the different classes. Really nice, quick introduction to swords and wizardry. So this is Rapid Thug pre-generated characters. This is, again, one of those situations which I've said before about Rapid Thug. If you play it, it makes lots of sense. If you don't play it, you kind of may be a little befuddled as to what this is. These are characters to play through that, and it has 2 different styles, Pathfinder and Swords and Wizardry. I've always said that Mythoard is really a sort of an old school system, but increasingly we're seeing support more for Pathfinder as well, and this is another example of sort of straddling the line here. What you get is 2 different levels of characters in Pathfinder, so it looks like 1st and 6th. And then you also get a Swords and Wizardry 1st and 5th level character. So you can see the stats there. The formatting is a little bit wonky because not everything fits, and it looks like it's divided up across 2 pages. But you can see all the stats for each one of these characters. Clerics, Paladins, Rogues, Rangers, more Rogues, Halfling Rogues, your standard Half-Orc Barbarian. It's really, there's Dwarf Fighter. It's your setup to round out a party. Not a lot of female characters, kind of interesting. I see one there. But definitely a wide range that you'll have enough to play through any game, which is always welcome. So if you play Pathfinder or Swords and Wizardry, this is a nice guide with some pre-generated characters you can use. This is Knights of the Dinner Table. So this is their magazine. This magazine's been going strong. Lots of really awesome stuff for Knights of the Dinner Table. If you know what that is, you have to be familiar with the comic, or probably a lot of this doesn't make sense. Although the comic certainly relates to things that gamers can relate to, I'm sure. Lots of that comic, and also some support for the AD&D. So this is the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons compatible system. They actually, Kenzer and Company got the rights to produce content that was compatible with Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and as a result, it's basically, if you wanted to keep playing Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, this is the magazine for you. So it's really chock full of stuff. I mean, there's reviews of Delta Green, Dead Rain, and a bunch of other stuff, and it's quite impressive how much they jammed in here. Even Snarf Quest. Those of you who remember Dragon Magazine may remember Snarf Quest. Snarf Quest is back in here. So this really is reminiscent of sort of what Dragon Magazine used to be like, only with more comics, and obviously focusing on Knights of the Dinner Table. So if you are a fan of AD&D, this is something you'd want to check out. Old school. We're never going to forget the old school stuff, because Bad Mike's Books and Games has brought this lovely lady here for Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. You can imagine that this probably wouldn't fly today. Oh, is her eyes closed? I can't tell. On the front, maybe it's just her eyes are a different color. I'm not sure. But this is an adventure, old school by Judges Guild. This is the kind of times when you didn't get a lot of background content. You just got right into the adventure with lots of maps and some graphics, which was basically sort of what I call reverse dungeon crawl. So it's more towers, less dungeons, but there's content here for both. And you are after Alcastra's treasure, I believe. And she has a book that you need to retrieve. And there's just a lot of different content here with some sketches and maps. So this is AD&D. Again, if you are an AD&D player, probably really interesting. I'm not sure. I think you could probably update it a little bit, flesh it out. But if it's something that you're interested in, that's another adventure that you might like in Mythoard. All right, I'm going to see if I can do this correctly. I'm going to cover here we go. So I'm covering the code, because otherwise you just get the code. This is Hard Times in Dragon City, which is by Matt Forbeck. I believe that is fiction for shotguns and sorcery. There's not anything really on the back here. And this is obviously a PDF. So you get the PDF code, and then you can use that. So I'm not going to put that down here, but that's just another product, which is always a welcome. And then we have the Mythoard cards. Remember the Mythoard cards? We've had a few of those. And this one is about a stench of decay, something gross in Suthmire. As usual, it is less about the actual content and more about the theme and atmosphere. And it provides sort of a nice setup for an encounter. So this is just meant to be probably potentially even randomized if you had the deck of cards, and you could come up with something for a Dungeon Master to trigger their imagination and come up with some cool encounter. So you add all that up, and this is this month's Mythoard. I think this is promising. You're seeing a range of AD&D stuff, Swords and Wizardry stuff, and still some Pathfinder. So that's a pretty good range of content. But most importantly, it's a lot more content. There wasn't as much in their previous Mythoard, and I think this is probably an improvement. So we'll hopefully see more of this wide range, which includes sort of callbacks to the older stuff as well as content for the newer stuff that really makes it appeal to everybody. And that's our review for this month's most recent Mythoard. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon with the next review.